Good afternoon, and welcome to the 552nd in our series of Distinguished Speaker Programs. I am Barney Bishop, and I'm your president this year. Next to Marjorie is Jim Murdaugh, who will introduce our speaker today. He is a triple graduate of Florida State University, earning his PhD in public administration. He's the longtime president of Tallahassee Community College, and he's a member of the club's board of directors. Now I'm going to turn the program over to Jim Murdaugh, who will introduce Dr. Richard McCullough, president of Florida State University.
Thank you, Barney. Thank you. Good afternoon. What a great thing to see so many folks here. And it is a real thrill for me, ladies and gentlemen, to get the opportunity to introduce President Richard McCullough of Florida State University. And I'm going to take the time to share a lot about him because the community is just getting to know him. And so bear with me as I take you through what I consider to be a very impressive resume that led him to our community. He became the 16th president of FSU on August 16, 2021, bringing more than 30 years of academic research and leadership experience to the role, as well as a commitment to innovation, entrepreneurship, as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion. Prior to joining FSU, he served as Vice Provost for Research and Professor of Materials Science and Engineering at Harvard University. And he was there since 2012. In this role, he oversaw the development, review, and implementation of strategies, planning, and policies related to academic research. In addition, he led an Office of Foundation and Corporate Engagement and assisted in the oversight of more than 25 interdisciplinary institutes, centers, and initiatives across the university. Previously, he spent 22 years at Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, where he began his academic career as an assistant professor of chemistry in 1990 and became the Thomas Lord Professor of Chemistry in 2009. He was promoted to the head of the chemistry department in 1998 and then served as dean of the Mellon College of Science from 2001 to 2007 before becoming the university's vice president for research. He holds multiple patents and is the founder of 2 companies, has a rich background in entrepreneurship and innovation. At Carnegie Mellon, he developed a vibrant innovation ecosystem, including the Greenlighting Startups initiative that exponentially increased the generation of university spin-out companies and corporate engagement, something that I know that our community will be looking forward to. In 2013, he was elected a fellow of the National Academy of Inventors. He is an author of numerous peer-reviewed articles, and by the way, I saw his list of peer-reviewed articles. It's a significant body of literature in several academic journals, including Advanced Materials. He has been an innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology transfer advisor to Oxford University, Princeton University, and Washington University at St. Louis. A first-generation college student from Mesquite, Texas, he attended Eastfield Community College, so he has a very special place in my heart, before earning a bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Texas in Dallas in 1982, and a doctoral degree in organic chemistry from Johns Hopkins University in 1988. He also spent 2 years as a postdoctoral fellow at Columbia University in New York. He and his wife, Dr. Jay Vartikar, have 2 children and 2 granddaughters, and I can tell you I've had the opportunity to speak with him, and we are so fortunate to have him at the helm as the next president, current president of Florida State University. Please, let's give him a warm welcome.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. It's very nice to see all of you here today, and I really appreciate you coming out to be with all of your colleagues, but to hear me offer a few words to this august group, leaders of the Tallahassee community. I just am so grateful to be here today, and I really appreciate President Murdaugh, who not only gave me this introduction where I didn't really recognize the person he was referring to. Seems like a pretty important person, but But thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the invitation. I think it was your doing, so thank you very much for that. I also want to thank Bill Moore, the chair and president, Barney Bishop, and all the members of the Economic Club of Florida for all you do. It's really a pleasure to be here. I must admit that I'm not familiar with the Economic Club until I was invited, and so and I've learned a bit about it, and it's really important, the things that you do and the support that you bring the community of Tallahassee, but also the state of Florida, the United States. The things you do are very important, and we look forward to the support that you bring not only to the community but also to Florida State University. So my wife, Dr. Jay Bardakar, and I came here almost 4 months ago to Tallahassee and Florida State, and it's a really special place. When I applied to Florida State, I applied on the last day for the presidential search because I was really nervous about the sunshine laws and worried about whether I would be exposed and then fired at Harvard looking for another job. But I quickly realized that unless you're an avid reader of the Tallahassee Democrat in Cambridge, Massachusetts, you're probably unlikely to know exactly what's going on. The trade magazines in the education, Chronicle of Higher Education, and those publications don't really talk about ongoing searches, and so I think it's very professional what they did. And I came to Florida State knowing that Florida State has a very important, amazing tradition in academics, especially the Mag Lab is here. Everybody knows the Mag Lab was stolen from MIT, and it's at Florida State. Everyone knows that Taxol was discovered here at Florida State University, one of the most important drugs that were put on the market. And of course, everyone knows about the storied athletic tradition of Florida State University, the Seminoles and all about. But what I didn't know about Florida State is that it has been a university that's been on a tremendous rise. And thanks to the leadership, the faculty, staff, students, the university has really taken off. I mean, the university is ranked in the 40s not that long ago among all public universities, and is now ranked 19. And it's just been a meteoric rise at the university. And of course, that quality that's built into the university attracts more and more quality students and faculty to this region, and it's just self-perpetuating in terms of building excellence in the community. And so when I came here and visited, I was very surprised to see how much progress had been made in such a short period of time, and I became very interested, my wife and I, in this position. But the thing that really struck me about the place was the warm, friendly, family nature of the faculty and the deans. And I didn't meet too many people in Tallahassee, just at sort of the hotel and the airport. But everybody was really, really friendly and very welcoming. And I remember I had a luncheon with the deans. This is one of the things that really struck me. There are two things that really struck me about Florida State. One is when I met John Thrasher after my initial interview, it was like some bonding experience occurred when I shook his hand and felt that we were a kindred spirit. And then after that meeting, this a little bit of a light moment, meeting the current CFO, Kyle Clark, who I developed this relationship with before I got the job. And I was like, wow, I really hope I get the job because I really like Kyle and I would really like to work with him. And just the people and how much they really, really liked each other. I remember I had a luncheon with the deans in my interview, and the deans all got along with each other. And I thought, wow, this is, I know this is a great acting school, but this was really quite something to see deans that get along with each other. That can't be real. And but it was, and people love Florida State University. And The students love Florida State University. I've met so many students, and everyone that I meet, they all say, you know, what do you think of Florida State? Oh, we love it. We love it. Are you having a good time? Oh my God, it's amazing in every way. And it's a really, really special place. And so we are so fortunate to be a part of the community, welcomed in. You know, it's like being chosen as family members, and so we're just really, very fortunate to be here. You know, when I came here, I was quickly embraced by President Murdoch and by President Robinson at Florida A&M, and we have immediately decided that we will not only continue to work together, but will continue to expand our relationship. The power of the three universities working together makes this community stronger and also contributes in ways that it's hard to imagine. Our program, for example, with Tallahassee Community College, which of course I went to community college for 3 years, and I paid my way through community college, and without community college I would not be, you know, where I am today. It really formed the foundation for my education, and we've taken advantage of, Florida State has taken advantage, I didn't do it, of you know, our ability to have students that go to TCC and then come to Florida State, and those are among our most successful students, and so that is a partnership that we will continue to grow and will be very important to the community going forward. So we also have a great relationship with Florida A&M. We have a joint engineering school, and I'm dedicated to do everything I can to make sure that that's as successful as it can possibly be. We've been together many times and already, and we will continue to work together. So I just thank you, Jim, and President Robinson for your partnership. Today I want to talk to you about the goals and the vision that we have at Florida State, and I think I wanted to focus on, this is the Economic Club. One of the things I learned at community college from my English professor is you should always know your audience. And so since this is the Economic Club in Florida, I'm going to talk to you about economics and economic development and what Florida State and our partners, but focusing on Florida State, what we hope to bring to the economic development of Tallahassee and Florida. And universities play a huge role. We're a powerful force in what we can do for the community as we partner with the community, because we teach the future. You know, we have the students that create the next generation of startups. We have the students that are employees, hopefully we can keep here in the state of Florida and Tallahassee. So we have an influence in a way that's oversized in what we do. Of course, we're not the only thing in town, and we're not the only thing in Florida, but we do play a very large role in the impact. And in my role, I hope to bring my experience to encourage increases in research dollars and research expenditures and building an entrepreneurial culture at Florida State University. And I'm going to talk in detail about what my dream would be for the region. Let me talk about how these two particular areas of focus are so important for taking Florida State to the next level. As we build our research expenditures and our innovation and entrepreneurial culture at Florida State University, these are important aspects to continue our rise in our rankings within the United States. Last year we rose 3 places in the rankings among all universities. Although we remained 19, 3 people we were tied with went down, so we went up by not moving at all. But we did strengthen our position in the rankings. Our goal is to get to become an AAU university. It's a small number, 35 or so, of the top universities in the United States. Those are research intensive, innovation forward, entrepreneurial universities, are among the best universities in the United States. Florida State already has the quality to be one of those AAU, Association of American Universities, to be a member of that group. But we have to do a few things: raise our research profile, innovation profile, and do a better job at telling our story, marketing all the amazing things that are going on at Florida State University, and something we're going to make. We're already on it, and we're going to continue to do that. One of the reasons that grant money and research funding is so important to the community is that these dollars circulate directly into the community. If we build a strong research program at Florida State University, we will continue to pump money into the region in ways that you may not exactly know about. So we have very strong physical sciences at Florida State University with a storied tradition in physics. Fermi was at Florida State University. We've had 2 Nobel Prize winners. Schrieffer was there as well. So in physics has lived at least a couple of Nobel Prize winners. We have the National Magnet Lab, which I've already mentioned, which is the world's best magnetic lab in the world. You may ask the question, why? So what? You can make a big magnet. What is that? What does that do for you? How can I relate as a normal citizen of Tallahassee to making a big magnet that has a big magnetic field? Well, let me tell you. So, and I'll try not to get off the subject and put you all to sleep. But there's a very important new area of science called quantum science and engineering. Quantum science and engineering has been a new discovery where they've been able to create new phenomena and materials, or discover new phenomena and materials that they've never seen before. And this is incredibly important because if you look at the way that computers work today, they use silicon chips. Silicon chips are essentially switches. They let the electricity go through the silicon chip. That is called registered as a 1, let's say, and then, or it doesn't let electricity go through the switch or the silicon chip, which is a 0. And that's the way that information is stored when computers work, is whether these silicon transistors are called, but they're switches. Transistors are fancy for a switch that you can turn on and off. And whether that electricity is flowing or not is the way that all information is stored, and your iPhone works and everything that you could ever imagine. In quantum science and engineering, they've discovered that you have a switch with a 1 and a 0, but in these new weird quantum materials that have a correlation of electron and magnetic interactions of electrons and various quantum states that I could go in and make your head explode. You can have 4 states at the same time at one single atom. And so if you can have 4 states at one time, 0, 0, 0, 0, and you can imagine the combinations. And not only that, these things can be variable depending on what the magnetic field is. So these weird magnetic materials, topological insulators, and all these sort of weird things that happen in these new phenomena get tested at the mag lab, and these big magnets help to discover these new phenomena. Why is that important? Because instead of making a computer the size of this room, I can make a computer this big, because now on every atom I have multiple, not 4 states, but a lot of states that I can put into one single atom. So computers can get really, really small. You can't figure out what the information is, and so cybersecurity becomes really good, so you don't have to worry about people hacking into your bank account, or foreign adversaries, stealing information from and getting my credit card information and all this kind of stuff. So it's the next revolution of the computer age, and the Mag Lab is leading that. So it's important, and we bring in a lot of money. And the Mag Lab leads that from the National Science Foundation, leading to $275 million that come into the university to get spent every year on research, plus another $100 million that Florida State University invests in research expenditures. So $375 million go into the economy locally from the research expenditures that happen at Florida State University. And these go to buy stuff, hire people. You know, it's not just paying people to do jobs that then spend money at the restaurants, and all of these things are really important for the economy, the local economy. And we're going to drive that up. We ought to be $500 million, not $275 million. If you look at Ohio State University, it's ranked 17, we're ranked 19. They bring in $684 million in research. University of Pittsburgh, $850 million in research. So we ought to be at $500 billion in research. And you may ask, why aren't you at $500 million in research at this time? Well, what happened was Florida State, the number of students at Florida State, people love going to Florida State, so the number of students that are applying to Florida State just kept going up. And if you look at a graph of the number of students over years, it goes like this. It's just, the number of students has just increased dramatically. And the number of faculty members has increased like this. And so basically we have not increased in our faculty members, tenure-track faculty members, whereas our students has gone up dramatically. And so the only way we can solve the problem is to hire a lot of teachers. Okay? Teachers don't bring in research dollars to the university, and so we have this gap that we need to sort of figure out how to correct and drive that up. This year, I've authorized 150 new faculty searches at Florida State University, the largest number that we've ever had. We went in, we looked at the financials. This is one of the reasons of being an academic geek in an academic administration. I can go in and look at the budget and find ways to loosen up budget items and help the school so that we can have more and more searches. Instead of one per department, we have 3 to 5 per department because we're helping the departments do that. And that translates in a couple of years to more and more research dollars being brought into the area. Why is that important to the economic flow of Florida? Because you care about Tallahassee, you care about growing Tallahassee and the economics of providing good jobs and supporting the great things that we have, the great shops, the great restaurants that we have, and all of this has impact on the local community. So we're trying to do what we can at Florida State to make an impact to the community. We're starting to bring in huge grants, $16 million to the Mag Lab from the NSF as a recent grant, $15 million from the National Institutes of Health to foster faculty diversity in health sciences. So we're already starting to see a big impact in terms of what we're doing in the area of research at the university. To help us do this, we're looking for a new vice provost for research to lead the university, to help us drive up our life sciences research and our portfolio. And only in 3 or 4 months, we hope to bring somebody in that will help us in that regard. In addition, this person is going to be very helpful in driving an entrepreneurial culture at Florida State University. So in the 2 pillars of making an impact in the community from the university, we have research dollars coming in, and then we have creating jobs. If we want to create jobs in the community, something I know a lot about, then we need to create a pathway for our students and our faculty members to create companies. We're doing a lot of great things. Before I came here, we got $100 million from Jim Moran Foundation to establish a new college of entrepreneurship. The undergraduate programs in Moran College were ranked #1 in Florida, 19 in the nation in terms of education and entrepreneurship. We have a living and learning community at Florida State where we have our students live together and take the same classes as our students who want to start companies. And we're trying to provide more and more infrastructure to teach them how to do that. 50% of the engineering graduates at Harvard University started a company as their first job. 50%. These students want to start companies. The hope that comes with that is so powerful that we just need to get out of the students' way and provide opportunities for them to do that. And we will continue to do that. We're already seeing some things happening. You know, there's the new company with called Nightcap that gained national attention. It's a little thing you put over your drink so that it makes sure somebody doesn't spike it in the bar. And they were on Shark Tank, and they're off to a really nice start. And there's some other really cool companies that we're seeing that are really being driven by the students. And we're working hard on trying to create, but right now we have no policy. We don't have a policy for starting companies or telling the students what they can do or what the faculty can do to start a company. So the first thing we need to do is we need to tell people, instead of saying, somebody comes to us and says, hey, I want to start a company. And I think what they've been told in the past is, oh my God, no, you don't want to start a company. The conflict of interest is a nightmare, and you have federal funding, and oh my God. Well, no one has more experience in being conflicted than me. I've had more conflict of interest than anyone has ever imagined. I started companies at Carnegie Mellon too, and I was in charge of conflict of interest. So who's more conflicted than the person overseeing conflict of interest and then creating the conflict of interest at the same time? So the problem is not conflict of interest. If you don't have a conflict of interest, you know, you might not be doing something interesting. You know, conflict of interest is not a crime. What's a crime is acting on the conflict of interest and doing things to benefit yourself. If you have a conflict, that's not a problem. You just need to make sure you're not acting on those conflicts of interest. And so we need to set all that up so everybody sort of understands, you know, what the parameters look like. And we're working on that. Right now, we create about 2 startup companies a year at Florida State University. That's very familiar to the university I came from, where when I came in and took this over, we started 2 companies a year at that university. And so we work really hard on policy and encouraging everybody and providing pathways to teach people, you know, how to start companies. And we created a program called Olympus, which was a great program. And it was just completely inspired by me starting a company. And you'll think I'm bragging on myself, but I'll get to the real story in a second. So when I was at Carnegie Mellon, I started a company called Plextronics. And I started it because I had a graduate student who wasn't working very hard. And he was very interested in business. He said, hey, why don't we start a company? Because that's what's motivate him to start working harder. It's not very work. And, so he got very excited by this, and he finished up his PhD, and we learned how to start the company, go to business school, and the company took off, and it was very successful. It ended up, at one point, the company was worth $150 million, had 80 employees, created 80 jobs in Pittsburgh. It was a very, very successful company at that time. And what happened was remarkable. We had 0 companies that came out of the chemistry department at Carnegie Mellon University, 0. And after I started my company, about 4 years later, we had 6 companies that were started by the faculty members in the chemistry department at Carnegie Mellon University. And I call this the Rick McCullough effect. And that led to Olympus. And again, you may think I'm bragging, but my colleagues looked at me and they said, if that idiot Rick McCullough can start, imagine how successful I can be, because I'm really much smarter than he is. And I really truly believe that was the case. And so they would come to me and go, how did you do it? How did you do it? How do you start a company? Well, you got to hire a lawyer, you got to incorporate Delaware. They have the best corporate law, and you don't have to pay the lawyer. Don't worry about that. You can pay the lawyer later once you get some money, and collect some money for friends and family. Try to find somebody that's a business person, and a CEO, and then you can go from there. And you can raise money various ways, etc. You're going to need space and things like that. And so this sort of approach and encouraging faculty to start companies led to an average of 14 companies a year being created within a 5 to 7 year period. 14 companies a year. That's based on paths. So that's not even the number of companies that are coming out of the university. The number of companies coming out of the university was about 55 companies a year. There's about 40 student companies that came out. What happened? All we did is we stood up and we said, we want you to start companies, and we're going to provide a pathway to teach you how to do that. We're going to make it easy for you. So I want to do that here at Florida State University. Why does that make a difference? The reason that makes a difference, because if you look at what happened, at cluster zones in the United States, you can look at Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was essentially a brainchild of Stanford University, and trying to create an ecosystem between the great technologies coming out of Stanford and locating that and trying to build startup companies that led to venture capital coming in and essentially created the IT industry. But that IT industry was not in Silicon Valley. It was initially on Route 128 in Boston. And they basically blew it in terms of keeping those companies in Boston. I mean, it's cold in Boston. It's one of the reasons people leave Boston. It's a great place, wonderful place to visit, very cold. And so Silicon Valley seems like a warmer place, and probably it's a little bit hard to keep everybody. But that led to a huge industry, probably the industry in the United States, in addition to higher education. We lead in the United States, one of the few industries we actually lead in. And that was university driven. If you look at Boston Life Sciences and the transformations that happened in Boston because of Harvard and MIT and all the hospitals there, led to a huge booming life sciences, amazing amounts of jobs in Boston. But we in Tallahassee and Pittsburgh, we cannot be Boston, we cannot be Silicon Valley. This is one of the fallacies behind these sort of approaches. So Pittsburgh, I used to say, is not like Silicon Valley and Boston, but it's like the rest of the United States. And so Pittsburgh is a good model for places like Tallahassee. So what did we do? We created, and I did this not alone. I had a lot of help. Provost Mark Cameron was a brilliant guy, and we did a lot of this together. We encouraged people and students to start companies in Pittsburgh. This creates jobs. This also creates a culture by which the students stay in Western Pennsylvania. 65% of these companies failed. 65%. But it doesn't really matter, because that failure was a learning experience that helps you in your next company. I learned more in the failure of my first company than I did in any schooling that I ever had. And so my second company, we sort of know now what not to do. And that's really valuable. And that's one of the secrets to Silicon Valley is failure is not considered a failure. It's considered experience and helps you go forward. So we did that, and we created these companies, and all these companies started being created, and big companies started saying, something's going on. Something's going on. Something is going on in Western Pennsylvania, and we need to figure out what's going on, because these new innovations and technologies are being created there, and we need to be near that. And that led to company attraction. Google, Uber, GM, Intel, Disney, all these companies moved to Western Pennsylvania, which led to solid jobs in the region and helped to make an impact on the region there. And that's one of the things that I think we could do, Florida State could do here in Tallahassee, is to encourage startup companies. We have challenges, the talent, getting the talent, management talent to come live in Tallahassee will be a challenge. Bringing capital to Tallahassee will be a challenge. But the spirit of the students and the faculty is not to be underestimated. My former provost, Mark Hamlin, said to me, I saw him a couple years ago, he said, Rick, I think we really made a difference in Pittsburgh by doing all this stuff with these companies and starting companies and stuff. And I said, well, how do you know? And he said, there's probably 6 or 8 really good restaurants in Pittsburgh now. So he really felt that it really had an impact. And we can do that here in Tallahassee. The question is, what should we do? What should we do? We can't do, we're not going to do biotech. we're probably, maybe we can do IT because that's sort of location agnostic. I think GovTech is an area that makes a lot of sense for us, and Lawton and I have had a conversation about that. And, I've talked to people on the Hill and various people in the governor's office, and they think there's a huge opportunity for us as some people say government is not up to date on their sort of systems, and some people say government wastes money and things like that. So I think there may be an opportunity for us to do. When I talk to some legislators, they're like, "Oh my God, there is so much low-hanging fruit here in this area. We would love it if that's an area that we think about." So it's an area we'll think about strategically. We'll continue to think about what makes sense for Tallahassee going forward. But it is something that we plan to do, and I'm very excited about. And I need a little time. I wish there were 48 hours in the day. There's so much to do, but we're on the case. We also bring a lot of direct revenue to this to the region through athletics and sports tourism. I don't know if you've been to Doak Campbell Stadium, but to see 80-something thousand people rocking the stadium is really tremendous, and the number of people that come from the outside, it makes a tremendous difference to the local economy and the amount of money that we bring in on game day here, from hotels to food to everything. And it's a really important aspect of the contributions economically to the city. We have an operating budget at Florida State University of $2.2 billion. That's a couple times bigger than the city budget and larger than 75 foreign countries. So we have an outsized role in contributing to the community, and we're very proud of that. But we're not only contributing to the community, we are a part of the community, and we expect that to continue to make impact. What are we missing? We're missing a Nordstrom's. My wife will tell me. But we're we need an airport that can be supported. That's a very difficult one. We did that in Pittsburgh, and I would say that it was not successful because you have to have the traffic to get people in and out. We need to continue to help TMH and our local hospitals to provide really world-class health care. They already provide great health care, but we think at Florida State University we can help to continue to increase the quality of health care in the region, and I'm dedicated to doing that. We've already started conversations about how we as Florida State might be helpful to attract more and more physician scientists and outstanding physicians to the region. So we're dedicated to doing that as part of our contribution. We also want to do what we can in terms of the student populations. Our student retention is extremely high. Our product is, we're really research and education. That's really it. Research education, and that's what we really focus on. I talked about the research in terms of education. We continue to make strides in education. Our graduation rates are getting higher and higher every year. 6-year graduation rates are among the top in the nation, and have been really a driving force by helping us to make a difference in our rankings, but in student lives. The greatest thing about being in academics is that, and President Murdoch will tell you this, it's the students that make the difference. I mean, it's we help them, and we're in a privileged position to tell them how good they are. They are good, but we tell them that, and it has meaning. And that ability is what we benefit so much more than they benefit from at the end of the day. And so that's one of the things I love about Florida State, is that we are a family and a wonderful place, and we're there to help and encourage students and to make them be the best that they can be. Our student success has been a hallmark of what we do at Florida State, and as I would quote the Reverend Holmes, I was at a service a few weeks ago. He said, he pointed to me and said, "Mr. President, I'm almost done. Don't worry, I'm almost done." So I say to you, I'm almost done, so just bear with me for another minute. I think I just looked at my watch, and he caught me, and so if you haven't done that, you should go do that. That's a really amazing experience. But our student success has been absolutely fantastic. You may not have heard, but we just won the top student success award in the entire United States. I think it was about a week or two ago. It's the Association of Public and Land Grant Universities, APLU. That's basically, there's AAU and APLU. Those are the two big societies. We won the Student Success Award for our recognition of comprehensive effort to support all students in earning their degrees. We're very, very proud. We beat out some pretty good places, and this is really an achievement at the highest level. So luckily I'm the president, so I get to take some credit for it, although I've only been here for 4 months or something. So, but I'm very proud to be associated with that. What's really interesting is that we eliminated the disparities in graduation rate by race, ethnicity, and income levels. We have no equity gaps at Florida State University. That is incredible. All the success creates a big problem for us, though. We had a 75% increase in the number of applications to Florida State University this year. We had more applications than you could ever imagine, which of course will drive up our selectivity, but to be in a room and try and make a decision about what amazing person that we would invite to be part of the Florida State family is very difficult, and we will continue to do our best, but it does create challenges for us as we continue to build, one of the most diverse and successful pipelines in Florida and in the United States. We can't do it alone. It's people like all of you that make such a difference in supporting us in so many ways with your time, with your philanthropy, with your support. We really appreciate it very much. We're very fortunate to work with lawmakers, local, state, and federal lawmakers to provide support to the university. They've been very generous to us, and we hope and expect that they will continue to be very generous as they support this great university. One of the goals is one of the reasons the state needs to support us is because our tuition is among the lowest in the entire nation. And that accessibility cost of less than $7,000 a semester, or $7,000 a year, is among the lowest in the entire United States, which is great. That provides access for people like me who couldn't afford to go to school. But it also means that it's hard to pay the bills. As business people, that becomes a challenge. So that is one of the challenges that we have going forward. But we circle the square by bringing more money from corporations and foundations and from folks like you who support us so incredibly strongly. So I hope that you will go away with and say that Florida State has tremendous momentum. We're doing a good job. The future is incredibly bright for the university. There's so many opportunities to take the university to the next level, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of that and helping to lead that. So thank you so much for listening to me for so long, and thank you so much for the invitation to come and speak with you today. And I'm happy to answer questions if that's what is your next step.